Hey there. You're listening to True Story No Cap. Real stories, no exaggeration, no lies. Just the raw, unfiltered moments life throws our way. Relax, lean back, and let's get started. Aurora arrived at school at the crack of dawn. Technically, she didn't arrive at all. Her mum delivered her. Yesterday's fight with Aurora's dad had cost Mum yet another night's sleep, and she planned to spend this long day at a friend's place, dissecting her wayward husband's faults. Routine, plain and simple. Aurora climbed to the second floor and headed for her classroom. A girl she didn't know stood motionless by the window, dressed head to toe in dark clothes. Ah, right. The new girl. Aurora had noticed the teacher talking to her yesterday. She looked sweet enough. Time to investigate. Their little circle had an opening since Lena had moved to another city. A fresh friend was required, and Aurora intended to see if the newcomer would fit. She walked up and chirped, "Hi, I'm Aurora. You're new, right? I spotted you yesterday. What's your name?" The girl flinched at the sound, shoulders shrinking, but when she met Aurora's friendly smile, she ventured a shy one of her own. "Hi, yes, I'm new. I'm Evelyn." Her voice was soft, barely audible, yet wonderfully musical. Great, Aurora thought. The name Evelyn would slide nicely into their girls' group, and they could always teach her to speak up. "Where are you from? Move here from another city? Or maybe your parents split up? Why our school in particular?" Evelyn murmured, "No, we didn't move, and my parents didn't split. There's no dad. I live with Mum. This school's just closer to home, easier that way." Aurora nodded sagely. "Yeah, living nearby is awesome. I get it. I live pretty far out. Total pain commuting every day. But I usually get a lift. If Mum and Dad are fighting, Mum drives. If they're in peace mode, Dad? Depends. Does your mum have a car?" Evelyn looked away. "No, she doesn't have a license." "It's no good. She really ought to. These days, every woman should drive. Let her get her license, then teach you. The minute I turn 18, I'm taking the test. Dad promised to buy me a car as soon as I pass. Can't wait." Evelyn glanced at Aurora and managed a small smile. "Driving would be great. I want to learn too." Aurora flicked a curl from her face. "What iPhone do you have? 12 or 13? Hopefully not a 13 because I've only got a 12 and I want to be first in class with the new one." "I don't have a phone. I lost it. Mum hasn't bought a new one yet," Evelyn mumbled, embarrassed. "Oh, perfect. Tell her not to buy it this week. Dad's getting me the 13 on Saturday. After that, feel free to upgrade." Mostly Aurora talked, Evelyn listened, gazing at her with open admiration, which Aurora certainly noticed. Perfect. The new girl would slot right in. Classmates drifted in. Aurora took Evelyn under her wing, introducing her to everyone, and the greeting was warm. When the bell rang, Aurora had Evelyn sit at her desk. The whole day went brilliantly. Evelyn clicked with people, glowing with happiness at her new friendships. Aurora invited her to a Saturday sleepover, which would double as an official initiation. They discovered Evelyn adored drawing and was amazing at it, so Arthur offered to bring special designer pencils his dad had hauled back from overseas. He clearly liked her and aimed to impress. "They're phenomenal. You'll see. I've got 2 sets, one's yours. If you want more, we can order. My dad showed me how." Arthur buzzed around Evelyn all day. She was over the moon. She'd been terrified to transfer, especially to this prestige academy of well-heeled kids, but the first month was idyllic. She told them only that her mum owned a cleaning company in another town, hardly unusual among parents who ran businesses scattered across cities and countries. No one probed further. Then, exactly 6 weeks after her first day, everything changed. It was 7th period. The teacher let them out 10 minutes early. Evelyn hurried to the restroom. Aurora and her core friends stayed behind to beg Mrs. Peters for a chance to patch poor test grades. The building was nearly empty. Evelyn tossed her rucksack on a hook and pushed into the stalls, straight into a janitor. Startled, the slender woman dropped an empty bucket. Evelyn gasped and knelt to collect fallen rags. The woman looked exhausted. Deep lines crossed her forehead, but they weren't from age. She was only 35. They were scars of grief, hardship, and back-breaking work. Long hours on low wages to feed herself, her daughter, and an invalid mother. She was Evelyn's mum, scrubbing this very school. Oh, honey, they asked me to come early. Need the assembly hall ready. Evelyn's face darkened. She hissed, I begged you not to call me honey here. You promised. You said we'd act like strangers. Please, never again. A voice behind her. Mum, that's your mum? Your mum's the janitor? Aurora's. Evelyn went chalk white. She turned to find Aurora, Marissa, and Pauline staring, eyes wide, then gliding over her mother with open distaste. She still hoped it wouldn't matter. She'd fit in so well, but the look in Aurora's eyes, disgust, anger, told her everything was over. These girls would never be her friends again. Silence. A distant bell sounded. Aurora flinched, stepped back, motioned to her clique. Well, we've got to run. Big party tomorrow, and my friends Marissa and Pauline need to help me prep. The emphasis on my friends iced Evelyn out. They hustled away, snickering. Evelyn sagged. She clung to a sliver of hope. Maybe Aurora had simply taken offense. She'd call tonight on her battered old phone, the one she never brought to school, and beg Aurora to keep the secret. Maybe the rest of the class would still treat her normally. Whirling on her mother, she spat. I warned you. If it happens like the last school, I don't know what I'll do. You ruined everything. I hate you. You've destroyed my life. It was going so well here and you blew it again. Her mother folded her arms. I didn't mean to, Evelyn. I love you more than anything. Don't say such horrible things. Evelyn grabbed her bag and fled. All evening she called Aurora. No answer. Then a text. The sleepover was on and they expected her at the set time. Evelyn soared with relief. They'd forgiven her. Saturday she arrived, ready with a speech about tragic fate, how her wealthy father had planned to marry her mum, but a car crash killed him and his parents, leaving Mum penniless with a baby and a sick mother. The girls would surely understand. If only she'd known. Aurora opened the door. The whole class was there. Silence. Evelyn's mouth went dry. She wanted to bolt, but couldn't move. Aurora's voice rang out. Friends, our introduction involved a tiny lie, so tonight we'll hear the pure truth. Evelyn's pleading look met a mocking smirk. Meet Evelyn, the daughter of our school's cleaning lady, queen of the toilets, proud CEO of a very personal cleaning empire. Welcome to my modest home, O toilet princess, spawn of a filthy pauper. Roars of laughter, pointing, whispers, sneers. Aurora had turned the class against her. Evelyn stumbled for the door, tears threatening. Yeah, run, get lost, Aurora jeered. You don't belong in decent houses, stick to scrubbing loose, like Mummy. Or scrub mine, I'll even pay. More laughter. Evelyn fled into the night. She ran blocks before slowing. Tears never came. Something inside had frozen. She suddenly saw how small these people were. Money was all they valued. Compared with them, her mother was a queen, and that queen had raised a daughter with a steel spirit. She would chase no one's approval again. She wouldn't beg Mum to move her to yet another school. She would go home, apologize, say she loved her. Then she would return to that school and act as if the bullies were invisible. She'd build a wall none of them could breach. 15 years passed. It was alumni night for Class 11A. Nearly everyone came. Mrs. Tamara Peters, their beloved homeroom teacher, had been gravely ill in autumn but recovered, prompting the reunion. They gathered in their old room, laughing, hugging, sharing memories before heading to a restaurant. The door opened and in walked a stunning woman, elegantly dressed, dripping understated luxury. Aurora, nearby, drank in the jewelry, the fur coat that must have cost a fortune. Wrong room, she thought. This beauty looked a touch younger, but then their eyes met and Aurora froze. Those eyes. The woman glided over, heels clicking. Hello, Aurora. Don't you recognize me? The voice hadn't changed. Evelyn, the janitor's daughter. Hey, Evelyn, Aurora breathed. Evelyn smiled. Yes, haven't changed a bit, have I? Aurora had no words. Evelyn turned to Mrs. Peters, hugged her, chatted warmly. Arthur watched, remembering snatching back those pencils, pressured by classmates, too cowardly to defend her. Others approached, cautious but curious. They learned Evelyn now lived overseas, married 8 years to a very wealthy man, Yet successful in her own right as a sought-after designer, TV featured under her married name, working with world stars. She'd moved her mother abroad, bought her a house. Mum had remarried happily. Shock rippled round the room. How had the janitor's girls soared so high when most of them, born to privilege, led ordinary lives? Some probed for the secret. Evelyn shrugged. I simply worked hard and ignored anyone who tried to belittle me. You remember? I stopped being ashamed the day I accepted my mum and myself. After that, anything was possible. When it was time to leave, Arthur offered her a taxi with the group. She declined. A car was already waiting. Her flight left in an hour. Arthur walked her out. The driver opened the door. Classmates watched, envy plain. Arthur whispered, "Will I ever see you again?" She gave a wistful smile. "Unlikely. Nothing ties me to this town. I flew in on a whim and realized I shouldn't have. Goodbye." She hesitated, turned back. "Arthur, thanks for those pencils. Even though you took them back, they mattered. Thank you. Even for ignoring me. I used to have a crush on you. I'm glad nothing happened. I wouldn't be this happy now. Farewell." She slipped into the car. Arthur stood on the curb long after it vanished, thinking of the girl he'd loved and who, in 40 minutes, had carved a fresh mark on his heart.